Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Mark Smith. I'm Group Managing Director of People2People in Australia and Frog Recruitment in New Zealand. It's Friday afternoon. It's 12:30, which means it is our market or employment market update. Today, though, it is a special broadcast because on September 10th, it was RUOK Day. And it's an important charity that we definitely want to get behind. So today, we'll be spending quite a bit of time talking through what RUOK Day means for particular organisations. But I wouldn't be on this broadcast if I don't mention the weather. So there's always the weather on a Friday, and it is a bright and sunny spring day here in Sydney, although there is some rain on the north coast of New South Wales. And why am I mentioning that? Because Janet, who is one of our back office people here, she does a great job, is on her way to Byron Bay, and she's a little bit devastated that it's going to be raining up on the north coast here in New South Wales. But that's not why we're here today. What we're going to do today is that we're going to have a quick market update from me, and then I will be exploring RUOK Day and what it means with a special guest, Monique Glatter, People and Culture Partner at Campos Coffee. So Monique will be joining us this afternoon, and we'll be talking about exactly what they are doing for RUOK Day at Campos Coffee. So firstly, let's get started though with the market update for this week. So the market, as we know, is still a challenging marketplace. And once again, People2People is experiencing quite a flat market throughout the country. There are exceptions to that, a little bit of movement in Queensland. South Australia definitely seems to be, I don't want to use the word normal, but there is more activity in South Australia, and we've got several customer service and property related roles in South Australia. So I would check out our website there to have a look at those. But I thought I'd also share today some job posting information, which will just show you, it's not 100% accurate in terms of how many positions are out there, but it does give you an indication of trend. And it's from Callum Pickering again, our friend over at Indeed. And here what we've got is two particular graphs. The first on the right-hand side is for all of Australia, and you can see the cliff that we fell off in terms of job ad postings during March. The bottom of the market was definitely April, and then we rose out fairly quickly, and then a little bit of a dip at the end of June, which I think was in response to the confidence blow that happened in Victoria with the outbreak continuing there. But there's been a steady climb to be about 80% of where we were prior to the start of the pandemic. On the other side, you can see what's happened in Victoria, and the Victorian experience is very challenging, and we don't need to really explore that anymore. I think the graph itself tells the story. But let's have a look somewhere else, and I do have a graph also the same from the US, just to give you a little bit of an idea of how is the US tracking. And it's a very similar story. And I liked this graph because it actually shows the difference between 2018 in blue, 2019 in orange, and then 20 underneath that. So you can see the cliff, the proverbial one, a steep drop off, not quite as steep as Australia, and so starting in March, April, bottom of the market in May, and then a climb out to be about 19% down on last year. What's interesting, though, in this graph, and why I wanted to show it to you, is that 19 was worse than 18. The top of the market, which I have said several times, was always 18, and Australia had the same experience. So I thought that was interesting from a US versus Australia perspective. The last piece of information I wanted to show you for this week's market update is the change in the payrolls. So we've got single touch payroll now. It enables us to get very up-to-date information. And thanks again to Callum for compiling this from ABS statistics. And these are the job categories which have suffered the most. And you can see that at the bottom that there are positive growth in electricity, gas, water, public administration, financial and insurance services, and healthcare. I don't think there's any surprises there except for financial and insurance services. Insurance probably on the back. I know that our legal teams have experienced growth in particular litigation and insurance litigation, so off the back of the bushfires and the like. The worst performing, no surprises here, accommodation, food and services, art and recreation services, and agriculture at the bottom end there. Retail trade there, you can see, is beyond, so it goes positive healthcare, slightly negative, but basically even for mining, then retail trade. So I thought that was an interesting number. I can't explain it, but I thought it was definitely an interesting number. So that's it in terms of the market update. Let's now move on to Are You OK Day. And I thought to move us into our conversation with Monique, that I would share with you a message from the CEO of Are You OK Day, Catherine Newton. If you could play that for us now, Jaden.
Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, CEO of Are You OK? Right now we don't need to tell you that it's challenging times. What we are here to tell you is that we can be a nation of kindness, of looking out for others, and of connectedness. Many of us right now will be feeling different levels of anxiety, fear and confusion. But for those who are feeling well and able, we're encouraging you to check in with your friends, your family and your teammates. How can you do this when we're being told to distance? Well, we can use the devices that are at our fingertips. Lock in a FaceTime, lock in a phone call, send an SMS or post online. All of these things are available to us. And it's also a way that we can trust the signs if we spot that someone's behaving even more out of the norm. For example, that might be listening or looking at the language that they're using, what they're doing online. Are they posting more or less? Are they answering your calls or your messages? Just anything where you think your gut is telling you that something's not quite right. Most of us right now can be a virtual shoulder, so please stay connected and ask, are you okay?
Monique, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon on this special broadcast or employment update around Are You OK? So the first question, I suppose, just for everybody who's watching. So what's your role at Campos?
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Yeah, no, it's great.
My role is people and culture at Campos Coffee. And this was, I guess, the first year that I was here and being able to be involved with our Are You OK Day activities. And I really felt it was a really important year that we really had to acknowledge this day and really bring awareness, being the challenges that 2020 has brought to everyone.
Yeah, definitely. And how did you and the Campos team get behind Are You OK Day?
So it was logistically quite a hard one with teams working remotely. We've got manufacturing in our warehouse doing split shifts. So I really had to work out how we were going to navigate this and how we were going to create connectivity whilst we're working remotely. So it was something that we wanted to make sure our managers all checked in this week with our team and had that really casual conversation around how are you doing? How are you finding things? How's your family? But really we wanted to tie in our coffee and, connecting over coffee, which was so important to us and our community of people. So we really wanted to make sure that, you grabbed a friend, you grabbed a colleague and you had a coffee. And I think that was really important for us because, connecting over coffee is something so easy to do. So we actually had some donuts and cupcakes delivered to all of our locations. And we just wanted to create that awareness that it was so important to connect over coffee and connect with your team, especially on this day, but every day.
Yeah, that looks fabulous. Look at those pictures there. That's great. And I think that, the important thing also about this is, I suppose, and I've got a video on this actually, is how to actually go about asking the question as well. So if somebody, if you're feeling that is somebody not quite right, how do you actually go about doing that? Jaden, you've got that video. Can you play that one for us?
Alec and Jenny enjoy a good laugh at work. Though Alec's noticed Jenny has been distant and distracted lately, his gut is telling him something's going on. We want Alec to trust his gut, reach out to Jenny and start a conversation. Alec's a bit worried he could say the wrong thing, but he can feel confident if he follows Are You OK's 4 conversation steps. Ask, are you okay? Alec should pick a comfortable, quiet place and the right time to ask Jenny how everything's going. He can mention his concern, and the changes he's noticed. Alex should listen instead of trying to immediately fix Jenny's problems. Encourage action. Alec can help Jenny think of steps she can take to manage her situation, such as chatting to friends or family, a GP or other professional support, such as an employee assistance program. Alex should check in a few days later and let Jenny know he's been thinking of her and wants to know how she's been going. If Jenny's not ready to chat to him, he can encourage her to open up to someone she trusts. If you're worried about a workmate, reach out and start a conversation using the 4 steps. Ask, listen, encourage action, and check in. Alec can make a difference, and so can you. Are you okay?
Yeah, sometimes it's great seeing that. I had a story where there was a very old school friend of mine who, I'm showing my age here a little bit, so we're in high school in the 80s, Monique. It's like, oh my God. And so every time we caught up, it was always the same. We were having the same conversations all the time. And one time I noticed that he was a little bit out of sorts. And I think this is where, the whole Are You OK charity really comes into play, because in the past I wouldn't have known how to actually have approached him to actually say, and I think there's also, with an awareness of this, it's also okay to ask the question and okay to say that, no, I'm not okay as well. So I did reach out to him and we had a very profound conversation. So a couple of comments here too, just before we move on. Now, Mark Green says, great idea. Can I ask, where did you get your cupcakes and balloons from? We'd love to set something like that tomorrow.
That's a great question. So in Sydney, we actually got them. I'll do a plug for Dr. Doe. They delivered some gorgeous, I don't know if you can see them in the angle here. Sorry, I got to get my camera correct, but I'm going to enjoy that for afternoon tea. So Dr. Doe in Sydney, but we also got them from a few different suppliers in Victoria and in Queensland, because we actually had to do a bit of a national campaign. So I can share those suppliers with you guys later if you like.
Yeah, we'll see if you can do that. We'll pop it in the comments there so that everyone can see. There's a few here about thanking us for bringing that awareness there as well. I think there's a particular story that or a video or something from your exposure with Are You OK? And we've got another video on that you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, so this is of a lovely guy called Justin Gage from a few years ago, and he's just got a really great story around what Are You OK Day means to him. I think he was a mascot for the Broncos, so he's got that going for him.
Yes, everybody from Queensland is watching.
He works in the railways, but I think a really important story to kind of show what Are You OK Day means, and the difference it can make in someone's life. So I'll hand over to you guys to show the video.
Okay, fantastic. Jaden, if you can do that for us.
G'day, my name's Justin Gage, and I was going to say I worked for the railways for close to 19 years, but I was employed by the railways. Yeah, little railway joke. How do I know Tom? So Tom has been my boss in different roles that I've had in the railways. A boss, but also a really good mate. So 2012 for me was tough. I'd done amazing things throughout the year, and I was pretty much physically bankrupt. I was spent. It's tough because I am the joker at work, so I'm the guy that makes everyone laugh, and I try and bring smiles to people's faces when I mascot for the Broncos, and when people are doing it tough, I try and be that person that's a bit larger than life. And so when I was going through this moment in my time when it was really just hard getting out of bed, it's also hard putting on the mask. And that's what I did for quite some time, was put on that mask, tell a few jokes, and it's exhausting when you're living a lie, it really is. Tom reached out to me many times, and I probably wasn't ready to accept it a lot of the times. Like most people, I'd say, yeah, I'm fine, just put on the mask, play the game. But this one particular day, Tom was, really engaged, and he really genuinely asked, are you okay, mate? I can see you doing it tough. And it was that day that you know, that straw that breaks the camel's back? And I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to be fair dinkum, I'm struggling. And that was the first step. That was the first step for me, was that acknowledgement that I don't have to put on the mask. I can actually be real. And I'm grateful that he didn't give up just after asking once or twice or 3 times. For someone to care enough to continue to ask the question and be there for you. When he was doing it tough as well, because he was under the same pressures that I was. And so, yeah, my relationship with Tom, yeah, is family. I guess in terms of the conversation about are you okay, it's not just that one question. That's just one of the steps of, you know, the whole conversation. It's about listening when someone's actually talking to you. That's where I was fortunate with Tom, that he was fully engaged with me, and encourage action, whatever that might be. You know, for me it was seeing a doctor. It could be just you need to talk to someone you trust. You know, that could be all that action that you encourage them to take. Recovery is not a destination, it's a journey. So I think following up with that person after, you know, you've gone through all those other steps is probably the key to this person, you know, getting through what they're getting through, because not every day is going to be, you know, roses. It's okay not to be okay some days. Looking out for your mates and caring for your mates it's one simple conversation. And yeah, you don't have to be a psychologist, you just have to care. You're working along some of the greatest people on the planet that work in the rail industry, and yeah, just let's be real and be there for each other.
That was great. Thanks for that one. That's fabulous. And I can see. Well, let me ask you this. I can see actually there's a comment. Sorry, I got distracted there. There's a comment from somebody in your Queensland team. Do you want to pop that up there, Jaden? I think from Joanna, who says the team in Queensland love them. They must be talking about the
Miss Joanna, hello.
That's fabulous. Fantastic. So, do you think it makes a difference then, Monique? Are you okay?
Yes, definitely. I mean, and I was going to actually say that I had a lovely call from Joanna to say thank you. And that was really such a beautiful thing for her to call and just say thank you. And I think it really made a difference to their day and, you know, really brightened up their day in, you know, what's been a very difficult time, and it really brought the team together. And I think it's about having these conversations, not just today, but every day. And that's really kind of brought light to this and to the fact that, you know, we want to keep this culture and keep going with the Are You OK Day kind of championship culture.
Yeah. And look, I know that there are lots of people who are in different workplaces around the country who are watching this today, and there is an opportunity to be a Are You OK workplace champion. It's something that's driven by the charity itself. And again, Jaden, if you can show people how they could get involved that way.
An Are You OK champion wants to help create a workplace where fellow employees feel safe, encouraged and supported.
It's not difficult to be a champion. All you need to do is understand the message. Believe that a conversation can change a life.
We all have what it takes. You don't have to be a professional or an expert. You just have to ask a simple question. For me, asking "Are you okay?" is more than a simple question. It means showing up for someone, listening and being there for them.
If we can set up an Are You OK culture, if we get some great leadership support and people actually have some really good skills to be able to establish that culture, and in that way we can stop little problems from becoming bigger.
I really believe in the adage, people first, mission always. So you can still get your job done, but you don't have to do it at the expense of your people.
What many people don't realise is that you're far more likely to come in touch with someone who is thinking of suicide than is having cardiac arrest. And yet we wouldn't question having those skills within our workplaces.
If it's encouraged by the organisation, it's certainly going to encourage people to get out there and have those conversations with their mates. And certainly having that peer-to-peer connection is so important.
Learn more about becoming an RUOK workplace champion at ruok.org.au.
Yes. Now, Monique, I reckon your Campos Coffees RUOK champion. Absolutely. You're the one there. Now, the one thing that I know we've got a few minutes left here, and there was the theme of this year's RUOK Day was around what happens if somebody actually says, no, I'm not okay. And we were actually going to get a good friend of People to People's, Tina Winchester, on to actually talk through, well, what you should do if somebody says, you know what, I'm not okay. She couldn't make it today, but she did do a video for us. And Jayden, if I could ask you to share that one with us as well, because it's important. If somebody does say, no, I'm not okay, what should you do?
So if you ask someone, are you okay? And they tell you that no, they're not. Here's some suggestions of how to respond. So first of all, I would suggest validation can be really beneficial. And validation looks like saying to someone, I am so sorry to hear that things aren't good for you. Then you may want to follow up with, would you like to talk about it a little bit more? Is this the right time? Allowing someone the opportunity to talk about what's going on in their life is really beneficial. Sometimes we simply just want to vent and say, this is what's going on for me, and it's really bloody horrible. So you'll be surprised how much of a benefit it can be to be a listening ear. My next suggestion is to ask the person, are you receiving any kind of professional help at all? And if they are, maybe ask some curious questions around how's that going for you? When's your next appointment? Do you think maybe you want to think about bringing your appointment forward, or asking for some more support? If they say no, they don't have any professional help, then you can make a recommendation. They might not follow it up immediately, but the recommendation might look like, sometimes when life gets really difficult, having a chat with our GP can really help us think about what our options are. Try not to dismiss the situation by saying things like, you've got nothing to feel low about, your life's really good, I don't know what you're worrying about, it's not that bad. That's not helpful. And my final recommendation for Are You OK Day is I want you to think about how you're feeling. So are you okay? Be really honest with yourself. If things have been really difficult for you recently and they don't seem to be improving, and in fact it's getting worse, then maybe it's time for you to really dig deep and think about having a chat with maybe somebody that you trust in your family or in your social circle, or having a chat with a GP yourself. I hope that you found these tips helpful, and I hope that you reach out to as many people as possible on Are You OK Day, and follow up with a listening ear, with responding with validation and care in a non-judgmental way, and maybe gently encouraging the person to talk to a professional if it feels right for them. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tina. She's it's great that she actually shared that with us. I can see that Jayden's put a link to her website, the company Career Development Centre in Queensland. So we've got a real Queensland theme going on here, don't we? Don't know what's going on. So we're coming to the end of the broadcast here now. So Monique, do you have any advice for anybody who's watching just before we go?
I think something that I would say is, start small if you're looking at doing this, whether you start something tomorrow or for next year. It can seem really overwhelming in your workplace to kind of think, how am I going to run an event? What am I going to do? And I think you've got to go down to the basics that it is a charity and we're raising awareness and money as well, obviously. So, you can do these big plans, which is fantastic. But when I was kind of starting my research on how am I going to champion this at Campos, I really went back to our values. And one of our key values is we care, we connect. And I wanted to make sure that I tied that into all of our activities, and to really try and I use the word touch, but probably not such a COVID safe word at the moment, but socially distanced touch everyone in our organisation in a small way and really create that feeling of inclusiveness and, you know, really connecting. And that was really kind of where we wanted to go with it this year, and trying to involve everyone while we all kind of stay distanced, which was really tricky. So I look forward to 2021, hopefully being able to be a bit closer to everyone.
That's fantastic. Well, I think from a distance anyway, I think you're doing a fabulous job. And thank you for joining us today. I know it was at relatively short notice, but thank you very much for joining us today. And for everybody else that's watching, the one thing I would like everybody to take away from today is to ask the question and to really support the charity as well. So to donate to Are You OK, there is a link that we will pop up, that Jaden will pop up in there, so that to encourage that more organisations to really embrace this as well. But thanks again, Monique. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you all next week at 12:30 for our market update. Thanks again.
Thank you.